What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about some of the most annoying things that Americans do. What? Us? Americans? Annoying? No. Couldn't be. Well, today I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, as an American who badly wants to visit the UK, is there anything I can do to make sure I don't annoy anyone with my American habits? So, this is actually an American who wants to go to the UK and they want to be proactive and know how they cannot be so annoying. They said, I've heard before that in the UK, Americans will stick out like a sore thumb, and I'm afraid I will be annoying. Well, I actually really respect what this American is asking here today, and I think, more Americans honestly need to take this kind of approach so we can start to kind of fix our reputation of being really bad, annoying tourists. So today, I want to take a look at some of the things that Americans need to stop doing when they visit the UK. So, yeah, I think maybe more Americans should learn about this kind of thing, especially if they're going to visit the UK. Let's take a look here. It says, "Don't talk so loudly." This this is the literal number one answer, the highest voted answer. Don't talk so loudly. Practice having an inside voice. Inside voice. We did learn about inside voice. I don't think it worked very well. We learn about that when we're in like kindergarten or first grade about talking quieter when you're inside. Yeah, inside voice. I'm remembering that now. It didn't that lesson didn't work very well, I think. Thank you. I'm very soft spoken. Having an inside voice won't be difficult. Well, that's good. But I think I've heard this one many, many, many times. Somehow, Americans just in general, by default, are loud. And what's what's one of the most classic fundamental things about an annoying person? That they're loud and bothering you. That's a pretty big one. And I think this just boils down to I don't think it's that Americans have biologically something different where our vocal cords are stronger and our mouths are bigger and we're just loud. It's that somehow in America we just don't care. We don't care about how we affect other people. I don't think we are as respectful as other cultures. We yeah, we don't worry so much about how we affect others. When I've lived in a lot of different apartments or flats, and you will just hear the loudest talking at nighttime sometimes, especially in some of the apartments that you might live in throughout your life. Really loud people who just don't care. People who will drive through your neighborhood playing loud music at really, I don't know. Maybe that's a personal experience I've had, but I just be like, oh my God, what is wrong with people? So there are some Americans like me who kind of, I get annoyed at Americans for this reason. My wife is American and is by no means loud, but I can hear her over everything because her accent stands out. Same with other American accents. So it's not just the volume, simply the voice is distinguishably different, and so we tune into it. Interesting. I had never thought about that. That makes sense to me, actually. That the American accent is, in the UK, jarring. So we're loud, we're tourists, we're like, hey, look at this, whoa, look at that. And also the accent is making that cut through even more. So Americans need to be a little cognizant, have some self awareness, not be so loud. It's not just loud vocally, but it's like playing music, having your phone on speaker so everyone can hear it. Just Americans don't really worry about how they affect other people so much. And I even think that's annoying. I think that's something we can work on, definitely. Okay, what else? Annoying things Americans do. Uh, don't tell people that you're Irish or Scottish because your great cousin, 3 times removed, once met someone who knew another guy whose great uncle had spoken to an Irishman. Yeah. Yes. This is really, this is such a funny trope that is so true. Americans, I don't know what our obsession is with this, because as Americans, we will absolutely spend our whole lives not caring at all about other cultures, learning about other cultures, what other countries are like and how you do things, what we can learn from that. Most Americans won't care at all, but we have an odd fascination that is borderline creepy. I don't know, where it's like, oh, I took my ancestry test, where you send your spit in to get tested. My DNA, I am 2% Scottish. Ooh, and we get very excited, and then don't really bother looking. It's not like they that you then start researching Scotland and your ancestors and what that means and what you can learn. It's just like we put that in our back pocket and we're like, oh yes, on uh, on certain holidays I'll wear green. I'm Irish and I'll tell everyone about it. Oh, yeah, that is so definitely a thing. I don't know if that's a thing in the UK. Like, do you guys, are you guys like, oh, I'm 1% this or that, or and get really worked up about it? I don't know, but that's definitely something that Americans do, and I can see that being weird if we go to the UK and tell people about it, or I don't know, maybe you interpret it as like nice, friendly, or it's like, oh, okay, man, that's good. You're related to us. Good. I don't know. Americans are actually welcome in the UK, by the way. Oh, yes, a lot of UK people find you guys can be loud and a bit obnoxious, but I bet other countries say the same thing about Brits. This person's being very nice. Just come and enjoy yourself. I mean, frankly, thank you. That's very kind. And Americans do this regardless. For better or for worse, most Americans will be loud and a bit obnoxious, maybe. But there's some Americans who are cognizant of their volume and try to be respectful and even go out of their way to learn some of this stuff. That's what I try to do. And yeah, I don't know. But there's a lot of Americans. There's a reason we have the stereotype. That's for sure. But other countries might say that about Brits. Is that true? Is that true? This conversation is about Americans, so I'll keep it that. Um, let's see here. Let me scroll down a bit. What else do we have? Oh, obey the cue. Ah, I've heard this before. This must be very, very, very important in the UK because I've heard this many times now on the internet. Obeying the queue. We call this waiting in line in America, and it's infuriating at times, to be honest. If people are lining in a straight line for some, we don't call it lining. If people are waiting in line for something, find the back of the line. Ask the person in the back, "Is this the queue?" And then wait your turn. Oh my god, that sounds like paradise. I can't remember the last time someone I was waiting in line or I was in the queue. I can't remember the last time somebody came up and said, "Oh, excuse me, is this the line? Is this the queue?" Instead, most Americans will well, a lot will guess that that is the line and get behind you, but so many will stand next to you. It's baffling. They will act like they've never seen a line before. They don't understand what a line is. They'll start to try to make it more of a group, like a crowd, not instead of a line. I don't know if they're trying to cut and get in first. I don't know if they're trying to make it disorganized so they can cheat and get ahead, or I don't know if they're just ignorant of what's going on. Either way, there's no real excuse. This triggers me quite a bit. This applies for everything: getting off the train, going to the ATM, waiting at the checkout. This can be infuriating in America. Yeah, and apparently this is a big deal in the UK, and I imagine Americans might drive British people insane with this one. But I think if Americans went to the UK and saw proper queuing, most Americans would get it and be like, oh, okay, because it'd be very clear. Maybe we're just not clear enough in America. I genuinely don't know what the problem is sometimes. I'm an American who has lived in the UK for 21 years. And these are the things Americans need to look out for. Because, the problem is, I'm starting to see, these are things that are normalized in America. They're normal. You can be loud. You can be bad at queuing. Um, and then we go to the UK and have to realize it's not acceptable. That's where the difficulty is. So this person says, check your volume. Don't be so loud. Yeah. I don't know. I'm starting to worry if I went to the UK, like, what is the proper volume? Maybe I'm louder. I think I'm being aware. Maybe I wonder if I need to be quieter than I think, based on what I'm reading here. Be more polite and less entitled. Entitled is a big one. Yes. A lot of Americans do have an entitled attitude because I don't know what it is. We put a lot of emphasis around our rights, that kind of thing. I've heard this before where Americans mention their rights more than any other country, where it's like, it's my right to be loud. For example, if someone's like, can you please turn your music down or not be so loud on some Americans might very well be like, it's a free country. It's my right. Freedom of speech. I can be loud. Like, I'm positive somewhere that has happened. um, so there's a weird entitlement that can happen. Yes, yes. Where Americans care more about our personal freedoms than how we affect the community and others. It's a very strange attitude. Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it, for sure. To be blunt, don't be an idiot. this is good. Make sure you have some proper knowledge about a subject. If you don't, ask and listen with genuine interest. This is something Americans might have trouble with. Just be humble, be a student. If you're in a different country and you don't understand, ask. Don't act like you know, or don't be embarrassed to ask. Listen with genuine interest. This is such good advice. Remember that while on the surface, our two countries look very similar, they are far more different than you can imagine. Don't make assumptions. If there is anything I've learned from this YouTube channel, learning about the UK, it is that the UK, it's this, exactly this. The UK, I used to think the UK is just, okay, it's like America, but with a different accent. That's so wrong. That is so incredibly wrong. Or the reverse, that we're just like the UK, but with American accents. No. Our cultures are incredibly different and not in obvious ways, very nuanced ways. They appear similar, but there's endless little differences. I love it here. I will never go back to the United States, not even to visit. Wow. That's cool hearing from an American I can relate to what they're kind of saying there, and I think they know what annoying things Americans are prone to. Let's take a look at a few more here. Annoying things Americans should try not to do. Fanny does not mean butt. I think I learned about this in a different video. Fanny does not mean butt in the UK. I should stop saying that word. Yeah, but it's a perfectly fine word here. It's a silly word here. It's like a funny, cute, silly word here that means butt. I think the fact that you're even asking this question means you're going to be fine. No need to overthink. I totally agree. That's what I thought at the beginning of this. If you're an American, if you're even asking the question, how can I stop myself from being annoying in the UK? I think you're going to be okay. I agree. Don't bore us by telling us about your ancestors. Yeah, that must be strange cuz nobody in other countries traces their ancestry to the United States. It's just Americans who are like, "Oh, I'm 3% German. Do you want to hear about it?" It's like, "Okay, great. This is Europe. This is where Germany is. You can go there." It's like we love talking about our ancestors. Maybe that's weird. A part of it is just maybe Americans are just genuinely proud of our ancestry, or we're trying to use it for clout or something. I don't know. Absolutely, most of us in the UK most of us in the UK or Ireland. Oh, most of us have UK or Irish ancestry. So it's not impressive. We don't care, right? If you're in the UK. Seriously. Apart from using your indoor voice, I would say don't wear a baseball cap or clothing from your college or your US sports team. People won't harass you, but it will make you look like a tourist. Oh, if you don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. If you don't want to stick out like a sore thumb, don't wear American apparel, clothing. That's a good tip. I like to think that's not necessary. Like, I hope it's not so bad in the UK that you can't even dress like an American. We shouldn't be scared of being an American. I hope not. When in conversation, do not talk about how the US is better at this, better at that, unless someone asks you to, and even then, talk about how things are done in the US and make a comparison. Yes. I mean, I can't even imagine going to another country and just talking about how you think your country is better. That's unthinkable. If Sadly, I could see if some Americans doing that, going to the UK and being like, "This isn't like home. This isn't like how we do it." And it's like, God, man, you're missing the point. You are really missing the point of visiting another culture. Don't make a scene in a restaurant. If there's something wrong with your meal, discreetly attract the waiter. Use a quiet word. Yeah, I've seen Americans make scenes in restaurants. Americans get very worked up at restaurants. Some, not all, but some people like really get mad at the waiter, like just for a mistake or getting the wrong food and demand a refund, demand free food. It's really embarrassing. If you go to London, then remember, not everyone is a tourist. People are living their normal daily lives, going to work. I can't even imagine living in London or somewhere where there's so many tourists, so many people visiting for the first time. That must be a crazy experience. Because I think I forget this too. A lot of Americans forget these are strange, exotic, foreign places to me. London. It's a strange city that I've never been to in a faraway land. For all of you in London, it's your home. That's your daily life. You go to work. It's normal. And so Americans need to be aware not to treat it like everybody is having this experience of like treating the whole place like a tourist attraction. So, absolutely, I thought this was great. I think there were so many great points here. I don't view this as like a bad thing to learn about how Americans are annoying. I think I view it as an opportunity to learn. Sometimes it's kind of funny. Sometimes it's kind of sad. But I actually took a lot away from this. I think a lot of Americans should have this kind of approach when visiting other countries. Absolutely. So I thought this was really great. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. If you're from the UK, what are annoying things Americans do that we can try to stop? Feel free to comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and learning about UK culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.